I want to ask you about a sort of related topic here, but the past couple weeks we've seen tensions with Iran increase quite a bit, of course, with the assassination of one of their top military leaders. Now, many people are quick to blame President Trump and the Trump administration for this, which is understandable, of course. However, is it more than just the Trump administration? Because I have always been in the camp of, if you are anti-war, you also must be sort of anti-intelligence community and anti-spy, because ultimately I feel that the intelligence community is very responsible for wanting to escalate tensions with other countries. And I've also said that if you are anti-war, you must be pro-WikiLeaks. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's very delicate to tell our story on this, but we did. We, veteran intelligence professionals for sanity, put out a memo, I think, 2 days after Soleimani was killed. Okay, and what did we say? We said, well, when you look for the reason, you have to ask the age-old question, cui bono? Who profits from the killing of Soleimani? And we didn't have much evidence to go on at the time, but we kind of looked at the strategic relationships there. Who wants tension? Who wants tension with Iran to be aggravated? And the name of that country is Israel, Israel. Now, this is not allowed to be spoken in polite company in Washington, but the same thing happened with Iraq. Okay. Now, I've been saying for however long, there are three things that accounted for Iraq, the invasion of Iraq, and I use the acronym OIL. Now, John Stewart took me to task for that. He said, you're violating the rules for acronyms, McGovern. You can't say OIL and have O mean what you mean. so he had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. And it's O for oil, I for Israel, and L for the logistics, the permanent military bases that we coveted in that area. So Israel was always a big factor. And I pointed back in our memo to the time in 2004 when the National Security Advisor to George H.W. Bush and to Jerry Ford, a guy named General Brent Scowcroft, was so appalled at what was going on with respect to Iraq, and so appalled at the reasons for it, that he went to the Financial Times in London and he said, listen, the explanation lies in this. Ariel Sharon, the Israel prime minister in those days, has Bush wrapped around his little finger. He has him mesmerized. That's direct quote from the very, very circumspect, usually, Brent Scowcroft, who never said a word to the press that he didn't cogitate over. Now, he lost his job. He was right in the flow of everything, all the information. He was chair of the President Foreign Intelligence Advisory Board. So he lost his job right away. But, doesn't that speak volumes? Doesn't it speak volumes that here, this fellow, General Scowcroft, thought that a large part of the reason why we did that stupid thing in Iraq, that horrendous thing, was because Ariel Sharon had Bush wrapped around his little finger. He had him mesmerized. Now, we recall that conversation. And we also recalled the conversation when Netanyahu laughed at how he had conned Bill Clinton into thinking that one of these arrangements was really going to work out, but that they would never agree to it. So we said, look, if you're looking for a reason, there's only one country that really benefits from this, and that's Israel. Then we learned that Soleimani was on a mission that had actually been approved by Trump. It was a mission to reduce tensions between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Wow! He had a letter from Iran he was giving to the president of Iraq, the prime minister of Iraq, because the prime minister of Iraq was sort of the intermediary between Saudi Arabia and Iran. My God, these two arch enemies, people trying to seek some sort of a way that they could have an accommodation or perhaps even a modus vivendi for living together, a détente of some kind. Well, who would be against that? I mean, who who would object to that? Well, you got it, Israel. So, my God, you know, it, it, it just, you can't say these things. And you run the risk of not being able to speak at a university or college. But that's how we see it. And it's really important to get that word out because, you know, George Washington, for God's sake, our first president and a general himself, talked about uh, avoiding entangling alliances, uh, avoiding passionate detachments of one country to another. He was worried about a lot of people in these fledgling United States thought that since France helped us so much in the Revolutionary War, that we should jump in and help them in Europe. Washington said, "That's stupid. Don't do that. No, no, that's a passionate attachment. Doesn't make any sense." Okay. Now we have that passionate attachment, and if any external country interferes in our election, it ain't the Russians, it's the Israelis. You know, I mean, I have full evidence of that. That same telephone call where General Flynn was talking to the Russian ambassador, he was really calling to say, would you please make nice with the resolution that's condemning Israel there in the Security Council? Could you just as a favor to us, could you just go easy on the Israeli? And then he also talked about Russia. But so all I'm saying here is that there can be no cogent policy uh, on the part of the United States with respect to the Middle East without uh, our people, that is Trump and the rest of them, being under the influence of the Israel lobby, and that it's such a pitiable situation publicly in our country that people just can't say that. People say that they lose the next election. People say that they don't get on CNN anymore, as I've been banned from CNN for 8 years now because I defended Julian and when they were trying to call him a terrorist.